Welcome back. In continuation with the earlier lecture, now we are going to discuss again some of the cases and continue with the further rights and responsibilities of the engineers as employees who are related to some work organizations. So, here we will again discuss like whether do you think the actions of client A is morally permissible or not. So, client A solicits competitive quotations on the design and construction of a chemical plant facility. All the bidders are required to furnish as a part of their proposals the processing scheme plan to produce the specified final products. The process generally is one which has been in common use for several years. All of the quotations are generally similar in most respects from the standpoint of technology. So, that is a standard like expectation. So, contractor X submits the highest priced quotation. He includes in his proposals, however, a unique approach to a portion of the processing scheme. Yields are indicated to be better than current practice and quality improvement is apparent. A quick laboratory check indicates that the innovation is practicable. Now, what client A does then is he calls on contractor Z, the low bidder, and asks him to evaluate and bid on an alternate scheme conceived by contractor X. Contractor Z is not told the source of alternative design. Client A makes no representation in his quotation request that replies will be held in confidence. So, here we can see like though contractor A has submitted a new design and it is a part of responsibility of the client A, even if though it is not mentioned in their quotation request that replies will be held in confidence. It is a part of responsibility and trustworthiness of the client A to keep these design, this processing scheme to himself and not to share it with the contractor Z, who may be a competitor to contractor X, because contractor X has submitted the highest price quotation and contractor Z is the lowest bidder. So, of course, what we see that the actions of client A over here is not morally permissible, as the client A has violated, like acted in a way which can be called like the breach of trust. Confidentiality is not mentioned, is not maintained, and information secrets have been shared with the competitor of contractor X, which is contractor Z, and in this respect client A, the action of client A is not at all morally permissible. So, here we will discuss about like what is an ethical corporate climate. An ethical climate is a working environment and which is conducive to morally responsible conduct. Within corporations, it is a combination of formal organization and policies, informal traditions and practices, and personal attitudes and commitments. So, it is a blend of formal organization and its policies, informal traditions and practices which have been followed, and the personal attitudes and the commitments of the engineers and the other stakeholders. The way that engineers can make a vital contribution over here to such a climate, because they have their professional ethics knowledge also, the commitments also, and to such a climate. So, they have a major role to play in that, in maintaining an ethical climate, because they can be a guiding force, like practical example by the ways that they are deciding and doing things, to show like this is what we should be doing, this is what we should not be doing, and this is the way that we must be doing things. So, they can make a vital contribution to such a climate, especially as they move into technical management and then more into general management positions. So, what are the defining features of an ethical corporate climate are: ethical values in their full complexity are widely acknowledged and appreciated by managers and employees alike. The use of ethical language is honestly applied and recognized as a legitimate part of corporate dialogue. Setting of moral tone by the top management. Conflict resolution policies. This is very important. Like, yes, we cannot tell, like there will be no conflicts of interest, there will be no ethical dilemma coming up in the course of action. So, but it is very important to have policies which will help us in conflict resolution. So, one of the defining features of ethical corporate climate is having conflict resolution policies, is having a setting up a moral tone by the management, and use of ethical language which is applied honestly, and people should be encouraged to function in an ethical way, and we understand the full complexity of the ethical values. It needs to be acknowledged and appreciated by the management. So, there could be conflicts happening when you are doing a cost benefit analysis with respect to your gains and maybe the harm that you are producing to the society at large or to your other stakeholders for the sake of the monetary gain that you may be having, and there you may need to take a call like which way to go. So, these type of ethical situations may happen, and we need to be like focused on the ethical values while taking these decisions. The rights of engineers are, so we can understand like engineers have several types of moral rights which fall into sometimes overlapping categories of, like whether rights of they are human beings, of course. So, rights as human beings, rights as employee, which are the contractual rights which they have with respect to the organization, the employment contract, and of course, as the professional rights. So, as humans, the engineers have fundamental rights to live and freely pursue their legitimate interest, which implies, for example, rights not to be unfairly discriminated against in employment on the basis of sex, race or age. So, right against discrimination, unfair treatment in the workplace because of their gender, because of their race or because of their age, these are not like permissible, these are unethical, these discriminations are unethical. If unethical, and we are talking it's unfair also if it is not directly related anything with the conditions of the job, if it is not required with the job requirements. So, they have the fundamental rights to live and freely pursue their legitimate interest, which is a right as a human being. Next, we have the right of professional conscience. The right of professional conscience is the moral right to exercise professional judgment in pursuing professional responsibilities. Pursuing those responsibilities involves exercising both technical judgment and reasoned moral convictions. So, here we find two parts, like it is pursuing professional responsibilities involves exercising both technical judgment because they are the expert in it, and their reasoned moral conviction based on the ethical pillars of decision making. So, as with other moral rights, the basic professional right is an entitlement giving one the moral authority to act without interference from others. So, it is the liberty right that places an obligation on others not to interfere with its proper exercise. So, here as we were discussing at the start of the session, we can enjoy our liberty right, we can enjoy our right only when the corresponding other party agrees to do the part of their responsibility in terms of not to interfere with their work that they are doing with the NGO, which acts as an interference in the process of the others enjoying their rights. Rights of conscientious refusal. So, this is what the rights of conscientious refusal is, the right to refuse to engage in unethical behavior and to refuse to do so solely because one views it as unethical. So, because engineers are professionals, because they have the technical know-how and they know, and because their primary responsibility is again it's towards the public. So, public safety and welfare, it may so happen like while going through a process, while studying a design, they may find like if they continue with this, the design or the way that the things are being done, it may lead to the major harm towards the public, and they may simply stop doing it. They may tell, I am not going to continue with this further. So, because it is going against my professional ethics and values. So, this is the right of conscientious refusal, when your conscience is stopping you from continuing with the process because you find it is unethical in nature. So, the right of conscientious refusal is the right to refuse to engage in any unethical behavior and to refuse to do so solely because one views it to be unethical. So, this is a kind of second order right. It arises because other rights to honor moral obligations within the authority based relationship of employment sometimes comes to conflict. So, loyalty to whom? To the company or to the public at large, if you are talking of, because that is what we were discussing in the last session. Like if you see that you have signed a bond of confidentiality, you have signed a bond of maintaining secrecy of your information, but then you find like the business that your organization is involved in, the way that it is doing things, it is illegal, it is unethical, it is harmful to the public at large. So, based on your moral conscience, based on your professional conscience, you can say you will not be continuing to do those things solely because you view it to be unethical, and that is why it is called a second order right. Here of course, there are two situations that to be considered. Number one is where there is widely shared agreement in the profession as to whether an act is unethical, and two, so where there is a room for disagreement among reasonable people over whether there is an act is unethical or not. So, two types of, because it is one's view like it is unethical. So, two situations could be what you view to be unethical is there is a wide agreement among the profession. So, this kind of acts are unethical, and where or it may so happen you are viewing this to be unethical based on your moral upbringing, your values and commitments, but it is maybe the others with a different perspective may not be viewing things as unethical, and where there is a room for disagreement among reasonable people over whether an act is unethical or not. So, in troublesome cases, what happen? It concerns with situations where there is no shared agreement about whether a project or procedure is unethical. If there is a standard agreement in the profession like these types of acts are unethical, then life is easy because everybody understands it to be unethical. But if there is no shared agreement and about whether a project or a procedure is unethical or not, and there is a room for debate, then it is a challenging task for the engineer to tackle these situations, and it is where your professional integrity, it is where the ethical pillars of decision making will help us to analyze the situation with respect to these ethical pillars and find out whether it is truly ethical or unethical nature or not with respect to certain kinds of situations prevailing. So, in a given context, applying the ethical pillars of decision making, we need to understand whether things are ethical or not ethical in nature. Next right that we are going to discuss over here is the right of recognition. So, engineers have a right of professional recognition for their work and accomplishments. Part of this involves fair monetary remuneration and part of course non-monetary forms of recognition. So, if any job, if the employees are not paid well, so they will be left with monetary worries, or they will be taken by moonlighting to maintain a decent standard of living. So, when you are talking of employee rights, so these are rights which are any rights which are moral or legal that involve the status of being an employee. So, till now what we were discussing were like engineers' rights as human beings and engineers' rights as professionals. So, first as human beings and then rights as professionals. But there is also another kind of right which the employees which there is also another kind of right which they may enjoy because they have joined particular organizations, and these are called employee rights because they have taken the status of employee. So, employee rights are any rights, moral or legal, that involve the status of being an employee. They will of course definitely overlap with some of the professional rights of the sort that just discussed, and they also include institutional rights created by organizational policies and employment agreements, such as to be paid a salary in one's contract. So, to get a salary at the end of the month or as mentioned in the contract is an employee right, which is connected with the nature of employment. So, employee rights include rights to privacy, rights to equal opportunity like prevention of sexual harassment, and rights to equal opportunity in terms of non-discrimination based on gender, age or race or physical challenges also. So, we will discuss about privacy right. So, the right to pursue the outside activities that can be thought of as the right to personal privacy, in the sense that it means the right to have a private life off the job. So, employees are human beings, engineers are human beings, they will definitely have a professional life and a different personal life. So, there is a private life which is off the job situation, and so they have the right to pursue their outside activities. So, which is a right of the person for personal privacy, and it is a right to have a private life off the job. So, like the situations in which the functions of employers conflict with the right employees have to privacy. Examples could be: a supervisor unlocks and searches the desk of an engineer who is away on vacation without the permission of that engineer. The supervisor suspects the engineer of having leaked information about the company plans to a competitor and is searching for evidence to prove those suspicions. So, this is highly unethical because every person has a right to privacy and which needs to be honored by the organization. So, if the supervisor is unlocking and searching somebody's desk, the engineer's desk, when that person is away on vacation and who has not given the permission to the supervisor to search his desk. So, just because the supervisor suspects the engineer as having lacked the information, based on that suspicion, in order to prove that suspicion, while the person is on vacation, he is coming and searching his desk, this is highly unethical practice and violation of right to privacy. So, this type and when you talk of right to equal opportunity, it is the prevention of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is defined as the unwanted imposition of sexual requirements in the context of a relationship of unequal power. So, quid pro quo and hostile environment. So, these are the two main forms. Means first one talks of, see, when we are talking of sexual harassment, it is clearly defined of unwanted imposition of sexual requirements in the context of a relationship of unequal power. So, somebody, if the person claims of any sexual or makes some sexual approach in the claim of that, if given that imposition of sexual requirements, so that the person is going to give the other party the favor because he is more powerful or she is more powerful in the organization, because sexual relationship of unequal, it's a relationship of unequal power. I am going to give you certain advantages in the organization which you may or may not deserve in lieu of the sexual favor that I expect from you, is the definition of when you are talking of quid pro quo. And when you are talking of the hostile work environment, it is the work environment which is like when there is a bullying, when there is name calling, where there is use of abusive language, where there is like disrespect in the workplace, which focuses on the evil language, ways of behavior and non-cooperation based on the genders, then it is called a hostile work environment. So, as discussed, quid pro quo includes cases where supervisors require sexual favor as a condition for some employment benefit, a job promotion or a raise. It can take the form of a sexual threat of harm or sexual offer of a benefit in return for a benefit. Hostile work environment, by contrast, is any sexually oriented aspect of the workplace that threatens the employee's right to equal opportunity. It includes unwanted sexual proposals, lewd remarks, sexual leering, posting nude photos and inappropriate physical contact. Both these forms are completely unacceptable in the workplace. When you are talking of right to equal opportunity in terms of non-discrimination, so one's own gender, race, skin color, age or political and religious outlook should not at all affect how they are perceived at work. Human rights to fair and decent treatment at the workplace and job training are vitally important. So, the right to equal opportunity without any discrimination based on this gender, race, skin color, age, political backgrounds and religious outlook, these should not be acting as barriers in having the person in enjoying the right to employment and getting the benefits or able to benefits and recognitions in the workplace and having equal opportunities. If somebody are able to do it, have the competency to do it and they can perform well, then that should be the performance of the individual should be the criteria for differentiating between the individuals as good performer or maybe better performer, but there should be no discrimination based on this sex, race, skin color, age, political and religious outlooks, and these should not act as hindrances for the employee in the progress, in the career progress in the organization, in getting recognition in the organization, in getting support in the organization for their performance, for their satisfactory performance, and should not act as barriers to the engineers in performing their responsibilities towards the organization. Every employee has the right to equal opportunity, to get the facilitatory environment to perform in a better way in the organization, to perform in a satisfactory way in the organization to the expected level of satisfaction, and keep their promises and their responsibilities towards the organization and to the public at large. So, we have to understand the engineers do have some rights and responsibilities in the organization as employees. These are sometimes to large extent overlapping with their professional rights and responsibilities, and there are something more also. Sometimes their professional rights and responsibilities also overrides some of their employees' rights and responsibilities, and like when it comes to the deciding, conflicting about whether I should be loyal to the organization or I should be loyal to the public at large, when I see my organization is not doing something which is as desirable per ethical standards, then what should I do? In solving, these are some practical problems that engineers may be facing, like whom should I be loyal to? It is the organization, because when you are talking of employees' rights and responsibilities, we are talking of being loyal to the organization, keeping secrets of information, not divulging trade secrets, confidentiality, trustworthiness, and then we are talking again of our professional responsibility towards the public at large for their safety and welfare. Then what should I do? What is my guidance? So, in that case, of course, the primary responsibility, again we are repeating, it is towards the welfare and safety of the public at large, because that is your professional responsibility, and because you have the technical expertise, technical know-how, knowledge, practice, skill, competence, and it is you are the best expert to decide on what is in the best interest of the public at large, their safety concerns, their welfare concerns, health issues. And if you find like the way that the company is doing the things are acting detrimental to these interests of the public at large, then it is your professional conscience which speaks better, and you have the every right, conscientious right to say no, conscientious right for refusal in continuing those practices, and you have again the professional right of raising your voice to those practices and tell like this needs to be changed so that it acts in the best interest of the public at large, because you are the person who are responsible for the safety and security of the public at large. Thank you. We will come back to you again with some other interesting cases and their solution in the next lectures to follow. Thank you.